Hello there students, and welcome back to yet another Pay Pursuit Academy lesson. In today's lesson, we'll be discussing the pursuit of happiness. I got this idea from a comment on my previous video and I liked it. As you can see, today's class will be held outside. In preparation for this lesson, I just made a warm fire. We will not just warm our hands, but we'll warm our hearts as well, and maybe give us something to think about. Now get yourself a chair and sit over here. It's been a while since you just took a deep breath. This year has been a lot for all of us. So let's get into today's lesson. It's the end of the year, and with every closing door, another one opens. Today we'll be taking a look at the importance of Absurdism, Stoicism, and religion. And by the end of this, I hope each and every one of you can take away something important and be a little less anxious and nervous, and a little more calm and mindful for the following year. So how do we combat this? Some simply just give up and indulge themselves in temporary happiness, not realizing that at the end of the day, it pushes us further away from our goals. We must learn that the greater the suffering, the greater the reward. When you ask for strength, expect to be provided with battles to make you stronger. If you ask for wisdom, expect to be provided with many problems for you to solve. The great beauty of our world and the great beauty about life is that even if everything seems pointless and absurd, we must still push forward, because what is a greater rebellion against a cold and indifferent universe than actually not paying attention to it and living life to the fullest? Let's look at the meaning of happiness and how modern media and pop culture has butchered the beauty of this profound emotion. Happiness doesn't appear when you drink your brains out at a bar or when you indulge into the profane. It doesn't appear when we sever our ties with the spiritual or when we throw aside morals and principles. Happiness comes from dignity, righteousness, the higher ideal, and ambition. That being said, the way we consume media today is very fast-paced, and we have little, if any, time at all to process what we just saw. It's out with the old and in with the new in a matter of minutes. That's a huge mistake, because media is the thing that has the most amount of influence on all of us. It is said, he who controls money controls the world, but whoever controls the media controls the souls. I'm not saying that you should burn your TV and throw all of your electronics and start wearing tinfoil hats. I'm just here to advise all of you about the dangers of unsupervised media influence. The first philosophical theory in the pursuit of happiness is absurdism, specifically the works of Albert Camus, a French philosopher, author, and journalist, most famously known for his contributions and works on absurdism. So what is absurdism? For those who are new, absurdism is the philosophical theory that existence in general is absurd and without meaning. So why did Camus think life was inherently without meaning? I'm sure people find meaning in their lives somehow, right? What about religion, relationships, family, even friends? Certainly that has to count for something. Well, that's where absurdity comes into play. The problem here is that everyone we know and love will die someday, and some of them will suffer tremendously before that happens. How is that anything but absurd? For the sake of argument, let's assume that they are already dead. That raises another harsh philosophical question. How is suicide not the only logical way out of the absurdity of life? To find the answer for this question, we must look at the works of other philosophers. If we look at Nietzsche's approach, he too had the same opinion about life as Camus. They both believed that life had no intrinsic meaning, but Nietzsche's solution to this was quite different from Camus'. He wanted to embrace the illusion and give life our own meaning. He said that we should take a look at what artists do, that they give things the appearance of being beautiful when they're not. Nietzsche argues if we can apply those same methods, we can become poets of our lives. But Camus has a more honest approach to the whole dilemma, the absurd hero. He takes no refuge in art nor religion. What he does is embrace the absurd. He loves, he cries, he enjoys the company of friends, he goes out and has a good time. He does not fret over frivolous things such as the meaning of life or even the afterlife. He is a moralist at heart. The absurd hero believes that this is the only life we get and that we should experience it to the fullest. He does not only stare into the abyss, but he laughs at it. By now you must be asking yourself, how does all of this count as a solution? I still feel depressed. To answer that, let's look at the story of Sisyphus. Sisyphus was the founder and king of Ephyra. The gods punished him for cheating death twice by forcing him to roll an immense boulder up a hill, only for it to roll down every time it neared the top, repeating this action for all of eternity. So let's have an honest confrontation with the grim truth, and at the same time be defiant in refusing to let that same truth destroy our lives. In the end, Camus says that we have to imagine Sisyphus happy. What is Stoicism? In the most simple terms, Stoicism is a school of philosophy that hails from ancient Rome in the early parts of the 3rd century. It is a philosophy of life that maximizes positive emotions, reduces negative emotions, and helps individuals to hone their virtues of character. Stoicism is also the endurance of pain and hardships without the display of feelings and without complaint. For Stoicism, we will take a look at the life of Marcus Aurelius. Not only was he the emperor of Rome, but he was also a Stoic philosopher whose works are still read to this day. He believed that we should practice the virtues we show: honesty, gravity, endurance, austerity, resignation, abstinence, patience, sincerity, moderation, seriousness, high-mindedness. Don't you see how much you can offer beyond excuses like can't, and yet you still settle for less? The second practice he has is to draw strength from others. When you need encouragement, think of the qualities the people around you have. This one's energy, that one's modesty, another one's generosity, and so on. Nothing is as encouraging as when virtues are visibly embodied in people around us. It's good to keep this in mind. And the last, if not most important lesson from Aurelius is to focus on the present. Don't let your imagination be crushed by life as a whole. Don't try to picture everything bad that could happen. Stick with the situation at hand and ask, why is this so unbearable? Why can't I endure it? You'll be embarrassed to answer that. And with that, we close the topic of Stoicism. I know it was somewhat brief, but if I were to cover Stoicism as a whole, it would take me a whole video to do so. So without further ado, I present to you the last topic. And for the last topic, we will be discussing the importance of religion. For many of you, it can be whatever religion you identify with. But for the sake of this video, I chose to go with the religion that I was born into and continue to follow to this day, Eastern Orthodox Christianity. For my viewers that don't know what this is or have vaguely heard it, Orthodox Christianity is the church that Jesus founded. I will not only cover this because of the cool robes and beautiful hymns, but also because I believe that this denomination holds one of the most practical truths and advice out there. I'm not saying that other denominations are false, it's just that we as Orthodox Christians believe that we do not have to belong to a certain church to be Christians. As long as you pray at home and have at least one iconography of Jesus or your family's saint in your house, that is enough. We do not believe in a central church like the Vatican that dictates the rules for other churches to follow. We believe that if you accept and pray to the Holy Trinity, that being God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, get baptized, then you will be accepted into the faith. I know that the topic of absurdism and religion go together as much as drinking and driving, but nevertheless, it doesn't mean we have to scrap any one of these ways of life. If we learn to combine the sacred, the absurd, and the calm in one harmonic life, then I firmly believe that happiness will come by on its own. That we won't have to chase it with buying expensive clothes, watches, and luxury cars. That we can finally win the war that is waged upon us in covert means. That we can escape the modern shackles of society and finally learn to love life.